Hi, everyone. I'm Logan Baldwin, the executive director of Klamath Film. With me, I have Molly Preston, writer, director, and editor of Freedom, Wisconsin. Molly, why don't you tell us a little bit about your filmmaking background?
So I moved to Portland about 10 years ago. Moved here from Wisconsin, and I knew that I wanted to find a way into the film community. I'd always been interested in making films, but didn't really know that I could do it as a career. So I ended up finding my way into a production assistant position on a pilot years ago and made connections through there. And since then, I primarily work in post production now. But any chance I get to write and direct my own projects, I always jump on those chances whenever I can.
What was that PA position, if you don't mind talking about it, and how did you get into that one?
So it was for a pilot that wasn't released, unfortunately, but I was taking classes at the Northwest Film Center. May she rest in peace. When I first moved here, and through there, someone who worked there, I think, recommended me for a PA position on a set where I got to meet a bunch of people who've been in the industry for a while and learn a lot from them and kind of shadow some different departments. I found that having the chance to dabble a little bit in many different departments, even though I've found my place mainly in post production and directing, think it's made me a better director to be able to see how all of the different departments do their thing.
Absolutely, I totally agree. I think they say that the best director knows how to do everything, but more importantly, trusts their crew to do the right thing and to know the vision.
Yeah. Yeah. And to know that your crew, y'all can do certain things much better than I can. I might understand the concept of how to set up a light, but you're gonna do it way better, a million times faster. But I know how much work goes into um, the different departments. Yeah.
Totally, totally. Um, so Freedom, Wisconsin, you described as a love letter to the place you called home for many years. Can you talk about your
Yeah.
experiences in Wisconsin that inspired the narrative and the characters of this film?
Yeah. So I went to college in Wisconsin in a town called Appleton. And I ended up living there for a few years after. And personally, like a lot of people who have just graduated college, I felt very lost, did not know what I wanted to do. And I actually worked at the dance store that you'll see in, or that you have seen in the film. I got the job because I lived above the dance store, and it was a very easy commute. But I started writing parts of the script when I was working at that store and working at a coffee shop just down the street. And when I would take walks through the different parks in town, I was thinking a lot about the place itself, like the way that Wisconsin has a certain visual appeal to it, but then my feelings of being lost and kind of angsty while I was there. And I think that the character of Penny, while I don't think I've ever been as forward maybe as Penny is, but I feel like I had a little Penny voice inside of me that came out on paper in a different way.
Totally, totally. Very cool. So you started writing the script like 10 years ago, I think you said. What was the journey like of the script and inception to finally getting to direct it?
Yeah. So initially, when I was writing some things 10 years ago, I didn't think that it was something that I could actually do. I thought maybe I'll, get a little point and shoot camera and shoot little scenes with my friends. But then by the time I moved to Portland and started working on other people's films and actually worked as a producer for a little while, produced a handful of features. So I got to help other people see their vision through. And I got to a point where I decided I was ready to make my own feature film. And the story of Freedom, Wisconsin was just kind of always in the back of my mind as something that I wanted to create. So that was the script idea I decided to move forward with. And yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy I did.
Absolutely. And congratulations on this being your directorial debut for a feature film. What were some of the
Thank
challenges
you.
that you faced during this process and what lessons did you learn?
Yeah, well, the I'd say the biggest challenge that a lot of filmmakers have dealt with over the past few years was the pandemic. We were initially supposed to film in August of 2020, and I would say we wisely decided to postpone because our plan the whole time was to fly out casting crew from Oregon and some folks from California to Wisconsin. And then we're also working with some local Wisconsin folks and folks from the Chicagoland area. But 2020 summer did not feel safe to do that. So it was pretty like touch and go for a while, even in 2021, when we did end up filming, like whether or not it was safe to do it, whether or not like the union, uh, I think it was IOTC and SAG and a handful of other unions had the COVID protocols. And even though we weren't union, we were trying to follow all of those guidelines. So there wasn't as much pre-production time as I would have wanted because we didn't know like, are we going to be able to film next month? So uh, in the future, knowing 6 months ahead of time, we are for sure filming these dates would be ideal. So that was definitely for me the biggest challenge.
Totally, absolutely.
And the mosquitoes in Wisconsin in the summer, second biggest challenge.
God,
Wisconsin mosquitoes.
I can imagine. I can only imagine. Well, I'm glad you got
Yeah.
through it. I really love Freedom, Wisconsin. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you.
Um, are
Thank
there
you.
are there any directors or specific films that significantly influence your approach to making Freedom, Wisconsin? And how did these influences manifest
Oh,
your directorial choices?
yeah. That's a great question. I would say honestly more than the big name directors, uh, the people who've actually influenced me the most as a director are the other directors that I've gotten to work with and have produced their films, or maybe I've edited their films or worked on their films and gotten to observe how they interact with both the actors and the crew. And then in addition to being able to observe different directors, beforehand, I had uh, a few Zoom calls with actor friends of mine. Because I come from the crew side, I'm very comfortable communicating with the crew. But honestly, I was very nervous about interacting with actors. I don't come from an acting background. And while you can do as much reading and watching of videos as humanly possible, like until you're in that moment, um, it's a wild feeling. But yeah, getting to talk with actors and find out like what works for you, what do you like out of a director. So yeah, I, no famous directors necessarily to name drop
Sure,
or give shout outs to, but
I get it.
I'm also terrible with names. And you ask me my favorite band, and I forget every band I've ever listened to.
Yeah, absolutely. As you're put on the spot, bam, it's all gone. You know?
Yeah, yeah, all gone.
Absolutely. Well, speaking of the actors, I thought both of the lead actors were phenomenal. Can you talk about like the casting process for you and maybe what qualities you were looking for in your actors?
Yeah, for sure. So I started looking into actors in 2020, but we didn't obviously start casting until closer to actually filming. And Stephen George, who plays Ephraim, I had found him on a casting website, a Chicago talent agency website back in 2020. And I was just looking through a bunch of reels, and I wanted to, I don't know, it's like you don't know exactly what you're looking for until you see it. Like you think you might know, like, oh, Ephraim is outdoorsy and he's lovable and kind of goofy. But as soon as I saw Steven's reel, and then after I got to meet him, it's like this, yeah, 100%. This is who I have been looking for. I can't picture it any other way. Um, but our lead actress, Amy Lajoie, who plays Penny, she actually, some of you might remember her. She went viral back in 2020 with some film crew videos, including a series called Shit, Insert Crew Position Here, say, like shit editors say. But yeah, look it up if you haven't seen it. But she's very clever. She does a bunch of different characters so well, very, very funny and wonderful human. So I knew I wanted the person who played Penny to have a comedic background because she is a pretty angsty, dark character, and I wanted that kind of that contrast. So yeah.
Totally. Very cool. I haven't seen that, but I'm absolutely going to look it up right after this.
Mm.
So
Oh
great.
yeah, check it out.
Absolutely. Um, what do you hope that viewers will take away after watching Freedom, Wisconsin? Are there any specific emotions or thoughts you aim to evoke with this film?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, I think that watching a film, everyone can take something away that's completely unique. Um, so I just want people to be able to have a little break from whatever stress is going on in your life. Like take a moment to enjoy the Wisconsin landscape and uh, also think about like those moments that we have that are short-lived and being able to enjoy the time and place, and things don't last forever and that's okay. Um yeah, but I just want people to have their own takeaways, and I love hearing people's different interpretations. So yeah, I really enjoy that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, you've completed your first feature. Once again, congratulations.
Mhm.
What's next? What's
Thank
next?
you. Yeah, so I have a handful of different scripts in the works at the moment. Um, and so I try to do a little writing every week if I can. So my hope is sometime in the next couple of years, because making features is kind of expensive, so gotta pay off the first one. But as soon as I'm able to, I have some ideas. So yeah, stay tuned.
Fantastic. Well, I can't wait. Um, Based on your experience transitioning from a PA and an editor to a director, what advice would you give to aspiring filmmakers who are looking to direct a feature?
Yeah. So this might sound really small or silly, but if you're starting out as as a PA or intern, always bring a notebook, take notes. It goes a super long way. One, it looks good. It shows that you're paying attention, that you're detail oriented and organized, and people really notice that. Now that I've been in a position where when I was producing, I could hire people, and in post production, where I can recommend people, I notice the people who are taking notes, and they can go further. Um, but it's also about those connections that you make, like starting as a PA, you stand there at the ready, like I don't have to say like hey, does anyone need anything? I'm here, I'm here, I'm here. But if you ask a couple times, like introduce yourself, shake hands, people will be like, okay, that's Molly. I know I can ask her if I need something. And then you just kind of make eye contact, you show you're ready, and uh, that person maybe is going to be making a film and it's a smaller crew and they'll bump you up to a higher position. And so, yeah, just be a nice person, pay attention, don't be afraid to introduce yourself. And yeah.
Fantastic. Fantastic. I love it. Well, Molly, do you have any final words before we sign off here?
Um, I don't think so, other than yeah, thank you so much for having Freedom Wisconsin in the Climate Independent Film Festival. We're really excited. And yeah, I hope everyone enjoys the film and can't wait to see what other films are playing.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Thank you for submitting to the film festival. And Freedom Wisconsin will be available on Eventive for a limited time as part of our online showcase.